Oh, hi, how are you? I've been doing a lot of thinking and I wanted to come on camera to share what I've been thinking about. I have been just really struggling as an adult and just being lost. And I had to really take the time to myself and give myself that inner peace. I really wanted to understand who I am as a person and what makes me today. So I want to say that it's very valuable to just sit still and just really reflect on your heart, because your heart is the most truest form you can ever have. You cannot place an ego over heart. And I had read earlier today that when you go out to different places and expose yourself, that you may not be you. It may be a different you, but it's not you. And it's not usually the case all the time. I mean, there are times where, like when I go to a work environment, I put on this professional facade, or when I'm talking to one of my close friends, I put on like a laid back, goofy facade, or when I'm hanging out with my brother, I put on a very silly, and we pretty much let go and just be ourselves and we don't give a fuck. I think being around my brother it just allowed us to both be who we are and not judge. That's why Brandon and we work so well together. And I definitely want to just evolve with him and see what we can do creatively and how we can exercise that inner child. And I've come to realize that the inner child is something that I want to be able to understand more of, because as an adult, I have given myself so much pressure to appear a certain way, so much that it was very exhausting. And so I started to really tap into the stuff that really matters, the core, the meaty stuff. And that was the inner child, because my inner child permitted me to be myself. My inner child permitted me to have freedom. And, there were a lot of experiences that I had growing up as a child that kind of limited me from living my true, authentic self. I think even me being on camera is really hard for me to truly be my full, authentic self, because I'm being watched. You guys are watching me, and I feel like we are the number one we're the number one people that judge ourselves. We judge ourselves all the time. And sometimes, like, it's not even intentional. It seems like it just comes with my DNA. So I had to really sit down and say, you know what? Where does this stem from? And I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still answering those questions by really going back in time to just remember what happened. And the first existence that I ever remember was in preschool. And I can't even give like the exact date, or I can't necessarily say that I remember the first day of preschool, but I just remember that that's where my life happened, was at school. And I met like my best friend. Like, we would talk, we would just really show and care for one another. We loved, we hugged, and we called each other best friends. And I mean, man, the only conflict that we've ever had was age. I didn't know that, I really didn't know I'm getting older. That wasn't something that I really paid attention to. I just knew that I had a birthday and I was that age. So I was 6 at the time in preschool. And that was at that age where I had to leave to go to kindergarten. And I didn't know. I just said, well, it's my birthday. I'm 6 years old. And my friend, she didn't take that very lightly because she was 5. I guess she felt like 1 year older was more dominating. And that's not the case at all. Like, we're still children at the end of the day. I don't know. It was just really silly. It was like really petty. But I left the preschool and I never saw her again. And it really, really hurt my feelings. I'm just like, well, am I ever going to see her again? Like, I actually thought about it, but at this point in time, I don't know where she's at. And then I met another friend Um, we started off in elementary school. And we had like all sorts of fun. We were living in an apartment complex and she lived right next door. And every day we would come out, we would knock on each other's door to go out and play. Like I would play with her and her sister and we would create all kinds of games. Like we would make up games. And even during the winter times, if we didn't want to play in the snow, we played in the hallway. And we did like singing contests. We played like Shark, where that game was like so funny. Because the kid would like lay down there and pretend to be a shark. And we have to like sneak across around this shark to try to like get items, and then like at any given moment the shark will wake up and then chase you. It was like really, really fun. And we played like Mean Mama, where my friend's older sister pretended to be the mama, and oh my god, it was like really, really funny. But yeah, like as I'm sharing this with you, I'm just reminiscing on the things that made me happy, and I was my true self. I didn't hold back. I was myself. Like I think the only times I've allowed myself to be restricted was when I was being exposed by negative stuff that led me to limit myself. And even to this day, I was very just lost. Even as a sexual being, I didn't know what sex was, but I was very curious about sex. Like it happened at a very, very young age. I didn't start like masturbating until I was 12 years old, I think. And I was way younger than that when I made out with a kid in preschool. I remember his name. His name was Christopher. And I never kissed before. And it was really interesting. At that point in time, I don't think I've ever seen my mom show any affection to a guy until I got older. But as that child, I didn't know how to kiss. I just knew that I had a crush on him. And the reason why I've never seen that kind of affection was because my father wasn't in my life that much. Like I saw him when I was 6 years old. And it was really awkward because I'm just like, and that's why a lot of women go through, a lot of daddy issues and just being confused, not knowing what they want in life, or just really throwing themselves out there sexually, even if they don't want to, because they don't know what that love is like, because it wasn't first introduced by their father. And it was like that for me. And so like I've been raised by women. I was raised by women. So I thought, well, maybe I need to be with women. And so I showed that kind of affection with my friend that lived in the apartment complex. And I just saw it as us really showing affection. Like we didn't see it as a bad thing. I saw it as just loving her. And I was just really just showing affection. And then when we got caught, we got in trouble for it. I thought that being affectionate in that way was bad. It was a bad thing. And now that I'm looking back on it, I'm just like, no. Showing affection and love is the most powerful thing that you can ever do, because that's our true purpose here in this world, is to truly love yourself and to truly love people. And I always had a hard time growing up because I didn't know how to really express that love, but I knew I really wanted to. And so I did. I think when I was like I said, 12 years old, I grabbed one of my mother's sex guides, because I was just happened to ramble in her closet. Like I would always ramble in her closet when she wasn't around, and I would always create like this little space for myself, because it was just really my world. And I always rambled through everything. Like I would be getting my hands in places where I didn't really need to. And so I saw the book and I saw the pictures of the breast, the vagina, like I saw all of it. And so I started to experiment with myself. And like, I think later on, I started to like experiment through penetration using my fingers. And at first it hurt, but then I started to really started to like it. And I didn't really become sexually involved with men until I went to college. So there was like this large gap of things. Like I was, always been affectionate as a child sexually, at the age of 5. And then I didn't start experimenting with myself until like my preteens, basically. And so as of right now, like, I'm just really trying to understand myself sexually, because I have learned that sex is very special. It's what brought you here. If it wasn't for sex, you would not be here. And you are very unique in your own way. There's no one here in this world, in this entire planet, that is just like you. And that's what makes everything you. Hey guys, so I'm going to continue where I left off. Like yesterday, my mom came in, and I get really iffy about doing videos when people are around. Like, this is my space, you know what I'm saying? So I was just basically talking about how sex is extremely important in life. And I think because of the experiences I've had, I've always shunned sex. Like, the first guy that I've ever broke my virginity to was when I went to Colombia. I had to have been about 20 years old at the time. And I'm not gonna lie, that shit hurt. But it felt good, like, as time progressed. And I was like falling in love with the guy, but the guy, he had like different motives. He just wanted sex, and he wasn't ready for a relationship, and that's what I wanted. And so it never worked out, and it took me years to get over that. I was like really mad. I was like really angry at him, and I blamed him a lot for it because I felt like it was selfish. Like, at first I'm just like, well, maybe I shouldn't. I don't think I'm ready. And then, you know how guys are, they will say anything to get you to do it. Like, he just basically said, since we're gonna be together, then we might as well. And that wasn't the case. And so I thought that him saying that very selfish comment to make me do something just wasn't right. And so I expressed that to him. I think maybe a couple of years ago, I expressed how that made me feel. And yeah, because I was really hurt by that. Because when you're having sex, it's an exchange of information. And I don't think guys really see that. I'm sure that there are some guys do, because they're obviously spiritual. There's a lot of guys who are very spiritual that see sex in that way. But when you're exchanging information, you're getting all of his information, he's getting all of your information. And it is a very energetic thing. Sex is very spiritual. Sexuality is no different than spirituality. If anything, it brings you closer to your inner divine. It brings you closer to the infinite divine. And if you see it that way, then sex is so beautiful. Sex is so powerful. And when you love that person that much, when you fall in love or whatever, when you really, really give your heart genuinely to that person and not just for lustful intentions, my God, sex is pleasurable. And have I experienced it? Well, I can say no. The reason why I'm saying no is because I do give, when I have sex with someone, I give my all to that person because sex is special. But if the other person doesn't feel the same way, then that's when the connection drops. So it's not going to feel good if the other person doesn't have that mutual feeling. So it's very important for two people to have mutual feelings. And when I moved from college and came here to Indianapolis, that's when I started to explore with women. And I had sex with a woman for the first time. And I hated my first time. Like, I was actually surprised that I continued to pursue women after that. I didn't enjoy it. It was very awkward. I was like in a threesome at the time, and it was just, the connection was off. I didn't trust the guy. I didn't trust the girl. I really didn't know much about them outside of communication through the chats. So yeah, that was a really bad experience for me. But then I met another girl. She was like in the military. I actually met two women that was in the military, both beautiful women. It was one girl that, traveled from Washington to Indianapolis to go to Chicago. Or no, it was Michigan at the time. And we spent time with each other. We ate dinner, we smoked, we had sex. It was like a really cool experience. But the problem was that she was married. And I had another thing with a girl in the military, biracial girl. She came, she lived in Indianapolis, and I met her online. And, she was a very intellectual, very cute girl. I think that was like one of the cutest girls that I've ever met. Like, she was beautiful, gorgeous, hands down. But she had issues, she's a mother and she had multiple jobs. She was dealing with a guy who was like emotionally abusive. It was just too much, and I was in the middle of that, and there was a lot of crazy shit that had happened, and I'd rather not speak on it. All I know is that we ended up just not working out. And of course, there was my 4-year relationship with a female, and it didn't work out, but we still talk to this day. Like, if she's feeling something, then she will pick up the phone and call. If I feel something, then I would pick up the phone and call. We just maintained that platonic friendship. And right now, I am just single, and I am exploring, just trying to learn more and what makes me who I am through my inner child and through sexuality. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about it being very difficult to find the right one. And I'm not gonna lie, in today's generation, it is hard. And the reason why it's so hard is because it seems like everyone is very self-inclined. And it doesn't have to be that way. If you can just find someone and just really give your time to that person, and they do the same back, then a relationship can happen. It could be like the 60s, the 70s, when folks would get married all the time. It's about having this communication with the person. Get to know the person. Find out who they are as a person and how they've been raised and what did they do as a child. Did they go to school? Where did they work? What are their interests? Find out, because how can you even connect with someone sexually if you can't even connect with them intellectually? And I feel like a mindfuck is the best thing in the world, because you're connecting with that person and they're connecting with you. And that's what truly brings out that love, that internal love. Again, the love that connects you to the infinite divine. And when that gets unleashed and you guys are mating, then you guys become one. And that's what makes sex so powerful. The best thing that I can say is just don't go searching for it. Just allow it to come naturally and just be patient. Say whatever you want, put it out there in the universe and let the universe take care of it. And just live your life in the best way that you can, because time is of the essence and we're losing nothing but time. So you have to really cherish the now, cherish the moments that you do have, and things, anything, whether that's a significant other, your soulmate, love, experience, all of it can be manifested. It's just the more you spend time investing in yourself and in whatever you do, things just start coming your way. And that has happened to me. Like, I've manifested a lot so far. Like, I've manifested this really good job. Like, I never thought that I would ever be teaching at home. I never thought that I would be traveling more. I never thought that I would be writing. I never thought that I would be creating and just really expressing myself in a creative way and just evolving every single day through spirituality. All of it is happening. All of my desires are happening. And I can say that I appreciate it, and it feels really good to be alive. It feels really good to show gratitude. It feels really good to just be breathing. And I think that is what truly matters. Breathe with me. Doesn't it feel good? You're taking in this life energy. Without it, you're not here. In this realm, in this frequency, you're not here. Embrace the nature. Embrace it.